invite now the next panelists. I see some of them in the room, hopefully everybody's. Pavel Hillman, Mariam Khalidinova, Umer Kiliaf, Joel Dietz, and Doran Amir. All right. Wonderful. And we go into emerging AI technologies showcases. So I guess we are missing the moderator. Well, what can I say? Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Do we have enough mics? Yes, one more here. Okay. Thank you. All right. Since moderator is not here, great to see you. I know that you all represent companies from completely different fields, from the emerging technologies, agri-tech, mathematical, analytics. And I would love to start with the point when you introduce yourself, you introduce your companies. I know we have only 30 minutes, but I also know that with AI now we all become so efficient.
I'll start. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Omer. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Innoviz. We are developing technologies for self-driving vehicles. The technology is called a LiDAR. It's a 3D sensor that can map everything and create a digital twin, a live video of 3D, and it allows the car to understand everything and obviously apply AI in order to navigate safely. We're currently utilizing the 3D capabilities for homeland security and smart cities. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
I'm Joel Dietz. I'm the acting research director at the California Institute of Machine Consciousness, which is a nonprofit built out of the ideas of Yasha Bach. And we're sort of exploring many new versions of computational substrates, how AI interacts with dreams, concepts of like cyber animism, and how basically machines can think and interact with us, including various mechanisms for human AI alignment.
Hi, I'm Pavel Hillman, co-founder of C-Crop. We are computer vision AI that helps to count and measure fruits and predict yield, reduce waste, increase profitability of the whole supply chain. I'm a third-time tech founder and also an investor in AI, so happy to collaborate on many aspects of those.
Hi, everybody. I'm Miriam, CEO and co-founder of Brainify AI. Our company is in brain health, and our goal is actually to develop a platform with which you can have new diagnostics and better treatments for your brain health. We collected data from 500,000 patients and built a foundational model that represents how brain works, that allows you to build diagnostics and develop new drugs, scalable and generalizable among different populations, ethnicities, races, and genders.
Thank you. Out of your experience in your field, when you talk about the showcases, can you clarify a little bit? Because I'm sure that not everybody here is a deep AI expert. Where do we stand right now, and where do we go in the near future, and in the, like a little bit of fantasy world, let's put it this way, from your fields? Because right now we have a great representation of that.
I'll start again. Okay, so self-driving vehicles, promise overdue for many years, but actually there are already quite several players on the market. You probably know that Waymo is already with tens of % of taxis in San Francisco and now in new cities. We are working with Volkswagen. We're going to deploy the first robotaxi on the road in the US and Germany by the end of this year. We already have a vehicle with BMW who's performing level 3 self-driving on highways, and next year with Audi, and we're working with Mobileye. So even though it took some time, I think we're going to see more and more vehicles on the road in the next couple of years. I wouldn't say throw your license yet, but definitely this is going to happen, and I think now it's really about scale.
I would say one of the most exciting things that we're working on that we're just touching on is sort of interoperability of minds, subject of kind of our next philosophy seminar, but we're also very deep in brain-computer interfaces, but also how cellular biology across different substrates, including trees, animals, cells inside of your body, you know, we can actually have bidirectional communication interfaces with these things, including new forms of life, biological robots, how that they can evolve and interact with us, and potentially in some ways be smarter than us. If we could really talk to the bacteria, if we could talk to the microbiome and have this communication. So I think there's a lot opening up, a lot of new forms of intelligence that are coming, and part of machine intelligence is part of you know, larger, kind of very sci-fi, but very close in a way, thing that we're about to experience.
I think in food sector, the industry is undergoing a tremendous transformation where AI is playing a very big role, because until now, about half of the harvest was lost before harvest was collected, all the way when it was produced. And then after it's collected, before it gets to your fridge, another half is lost. So we used to get 25% only of productivity. And AI really helps in quality control, in optimizing growing process, in farm management in general, and for insurance, for financing companies. It helps a lot to audit what's going on with those they give the money to. And in logistics, of course, so we see a very big increase. Only with our technology that requires just a smartphone with a good camera, we bring about 20% yield increase, 35% profitability increase. That is something that was hard to achieve with even expensive machinery. We now see a lot of companies that use computer vision, also AI, in detecting and removing weeds from the soil, in sorting and optimizing storage facilities. There are a lot of examples. Of course, there are hurdles. Big companies, they want to have their own ecosystem and everybody to use only their ecosystem. So when it comes to integration with large suppliers of technology, equipment, fertilizers, etc., then we're looking at some challenges. People inside of organizations sometimes are afraid to lose their job, and that would be rather a fear to have no knowledge and control over certain process in the company. But I think all the businesses that have ability to invest in AI will benefit from it tremendously.
Well, I guess I will be the only pessimistic person here in the room. AI became a hype word, and unfortunately, it led to a lot of people who doesn't have a clue what AI is and how it works and why to invest in it. And a lot of people just following this trend and just going and investing, putting their money in. And most of the AI companies that are really emerging right now everywhere in a single corner are not developing actual AI technology. They're just using whatever's available out there. The AI requires several things that are important in every industry. Of course, it's powerful compute. Of course, it's amazing engineering and architecture. But there is another thing that is necessary to build proper AI. And this another thing is data. So if we will be honest, to have a breakthrough like ChatGPT, we had to collect 13 trillion tokens to build actually something that can mimic a human speech, can understand the context. 13 trillion tokens, for your understanding, it's roughly 2 billion pages, or New York Public Library, cover to cover, and another third of it again. So that's how much data you need to build actual AI. So now we came into the health field where I am, and to say that we don't have data is to say nothing. So the largest brain data sets right now, roughly 60,000 patients. This is the biggest one. If you look at the studies which trying to understand the brain, they're usually looking at population of 100 to 100 people, which is nothing. So basically, to build actual AI, which will, I don't know, decode your brain and understand what's going on behind that and treat many disorders, build medications, will require significant collective work on collecting the data. We'll talk about it more later, I think, but the brain is the thing that actually works as a sponge. So it reflects everything that going and happens to you in your life, your ethnicity, your culture. So it's very diverse, and there is no two similar brains in the world. So if we would like to use AI to understand the brain better, we will need to have really global approach. So we need all the countries to be able to share the data, having access to this data, so we can replicate how actual human brain is working. It's not as simple as it may sound. And actually, it happens to any other industry because, again, the human body is super complex. So this thing that people are underestimating what is behind the AI, so that it will require a lot of data, harmonizing and preprocessing, and a lot of architectural work, which is not similar to the language processing or audio signal processing or image processing that we have right now, I think leads to this wrong estimation about how soon the future of AI will happen. So this is my estimation of this and prognosis. Not anytime soon.
Thank you. You know, I understand that usually moderator asks the questions and everything, but I like when it's live. I like when we communicate to each other. And if you have questions to each other, if you can create discussion, do it. If you have questions to the speakers, do it. Just come, raise your hand, I come to you and give you mic. I want it to be a live discussion between the professionals of different fields and exchanging ideas. Because what you just said, that we don't have enough data, or what you were saying, that soon we will have self-driving cars, but what about the safety of those cars? Or what about the safety of that data when it comes to medical side? And you are the researcher, so you actually can answer all these questions. So why don't we have this as a bit live discussion?
Maybe your comment is great. I think AI is a great tool for very fast application, not necessarily for safety. This is where it takes longer. And I think if you would ask 10 years ago, the best teams of AI were highly focused in replacing just one job, right? Just the driver. Now people talk about AI as if it will replace all of our jobs in the future. For the last 10 years, all of these activities haven't yet canceled this position. There are still many drivers on the road. And I think it's because of safety. And this is why it takes longer. So you can use AI to do you can do many applications, and I call it demos. But when it comes to safety, then it will definitely take a longer time, and you need better and higher quality and reliable data. What Innoviz is doing is developing a LiDAR which provides that. So we provide a sensor that can see at longer ranges. We can see when it's raining, even when you throw mud on the sensor. And this is exactly the cases where people are concerned with, because when you have a family sitting behind and there is no one to take control over the wheel, if now there is mud or dirt on the car, you don't want to be in a situation that now the car cannot see. Even you have the best machine in the world, and if you train it with hundreds of millions of kilometers, if it cannot see, it is useless. And this is exactly where we need to continue to invest, and I think part of why we're succeeding.
Why do I have a feeling that Joel has something to say to that? I see it on your face.
Well, I think, there's a lot of versions of sort of safety and precautions, and a lot of it comes back to, how we proactively do governance in these areas as opposed to reactively, and why you need jurisdictions basically that are leading and creating the room for innovation. Because when you have that, the legislation and regulation can evolve sort of close to the same pace. Never will be quite the same pace as the technology. I think we've seen a few cities that are doing that globally, but there's definitely room for more, and particularly to new forms of transportation. I mean, cars is not even the only one. There's many different forms. I just in San Francisco, Waymos are everywhere. There's many other different things, drone transportation devices, hydrofoils, different things that are being experimented with. So there has to be a bunch of places basically for these innovations to really come through. So I think we're still, like just I said before, sort of scratching the surface of what's possible.
Well, in my instance, AI cannot go wrong in counting and measuring fruits. Even if you make a mistake, there is no safety concern. You can't go as wrong as people do when they do it manually, counting every berry with their finger and then measuring it with a ruler and then putting it on a piece of paper, trying to consolidate the data all together later on. So same like in agri-tech was so inefficient that AI just gives it a very big push. And the data is there. Agriculture is the most saturated industry with data and the least digitalized one. So once you just download the data that the new tractor has, relatively new, you can already play around with the data and make efficiency improve. But I have a question to automotive industry, because I nearly crashed into a car when using an auto driving assistant. It was a brand new Mercedes that I took from the rental, and it did a wonderful job when I was on the highway. So I started doing my emails and conference calls, and I forgot that I'm not in the car, that I'm in the car, not in the office. So, and when I was on the mountains,
you were counting fruits from the
yeah, I was talking about it to some people, and so I was already in the serpentine, and it just switched off. And the car continued driving, but I nearly crashed into the car that was going towards me. And that where the question is. I was recently thinking about buying a new car, and I'm looking at Tesla X in particular, because they have collected so much data silently, but very efficiently, that they hardly ever do any mistake. They said no to LiDAR a year ago. Full self-driving cars law is coming this year into the UK, so you can basically let your car drive you to the office or whatever you want. And in the Europe, I'm sure if not 2026, then next year for sure. So where is the point where we can trust the cars? Let's say the law is here this year, but when you have your baby child on board, can you trust your car to drive you?
I really appreciate the question. Thank you. I didn't ask him to ask the question. I love questions about Tesla. I think to understand autonomous driving, I think there is a lot of bad marketing of these capabilities. Eventually, there are really defined ways of how to define an autonomous vehicle. Level 0 is where you drive and you have an advisor that tells you, he doesn't intervene, but it tells you watch out here or there. In level 1, you drive, the car intervenes, it supervised you. In level 2, it drives, you need to supervise. You need to react if something bad happens. And this is Tesla, and this is what you probably drove with Mercedes. People are unaware that they are required to be supervising. Exactly for the case of direct sun or mud on the car. People are trusting the technology because if it works for 10 minutes, it's already boring. You trust it, you have no idea really when it's going to fail. Like the same situation that when you drive your car, you don't really feel the risk, but actually the thing that we do on a daily basis that exposes us to the highest risk on a day-to-day is driving, is being on the road, but we can't feel it. We don't think about danger. When you go to level 3 is where you have eyes off. It means that you can really count fruits, and the car take care of you because it has a supervisor. This is why car companies are using LiDAR, is because the LiDAR is used as a supervisor. It sees better than cameras. It actually should become the lead sensor, and the camera should supervise. But unless you have this redundancy, then you're not allowed to have your eyes off. And this is what people don't understand. And even if you call it full self-driving, eventually it's supervised. It is supervised self-driving. And this is the problem, because when people are unaware, they become scared of technology, and they shouldn't. Eventually, we are here to solve really one of the biggest problems of humanity, which is the number of people that are getting killed on the road. I, as a kid, my sister was injured in a car accident, and even though I was not in the car, I always say, me and my family were rolled with the car for many years, and it changed my life. Even though she didn't die, she's okay now, but it affected my life so significantly that I realized how impactful these accidents are. And it's not at all from God that we need to give. It is really a problem that can be solved with the right technologies. And this is what we are doing. And I trust, and I really trust that eventually these technologies would allow us to be on the road in a safer way.
But what can we trust today?
What can we trust today? Actually, I think Waymo is something I trust. I think they are doing a very fine and really step by step. They are not trying to hype, and the experience is great. But there are many companies. We're working with Volkswagen right now and Mobileye. We're working with the German OEMs. They work very, very, I would say, in a very good way. So I trust that these cars will eventually bring the trust to people to be in those cars and drive safely.
So, Pavel, very bad news for you. If you buy Tesla, you cannot answer your emails. It's really
Okay.
getting mad on you and turn it off immediately.
Okay, thanks for the info.
There is one more topic I would like us to touch. Investments. So when we talk about people and investors of different scale, how would they understand where to invest and what is really the AI technologies that is worthy to look at, or there is deep research behind, or what is just simple thing which is just replicating itself over and over again?
I can take this one as a founder. I think out of the 120 investors I talked to, only one did actual deep due diligence. So I think that's an answer. And it's very sad, to be honest, especially if your company is in between the fields, as mine, it's biotech plus AI. If you approach biotech people, they have no clue what to look at, how to estimate that. They're like, okay, what is the clinical trial phase are you guys in? You're like, not really. The AI people, they hey, come on. Why you cannot do it fast? It's just so easy. We've invested to so many different companies, and you're like, hey, it's a little bit different field. In this field, we don't have enough resources, enough knowledge yet, enough data. So I'm afraid that most of AI investors, that's, again, arose just now, have no clue what they're investing in. Some who does deep due diligence, they're usually actually going into your architecture, they're looking at your data, they checking everything, but honestly, just one out of 120.
I guess AI in investments for investors does a great job too, if you can use it right. I mean, if you're a venture capital investor, you want to segregate the more interesting projects from the most. So that will do, because you want to deduct from the list something that is irrelevant to you, to your focus, to your mandate, to whatever doesn't fit the purpose of the investment. And then you have less companies to deal with. You have more time to dedicate to quality due diligence. So that's one example. If you're investing in property, you want to see the history of the building, what planning permissions it tried to apply for, etc. If you're investing in bonds, that's also useful. If you want to select the best blue chip companies to invest in, etc. In trading, it's a bit of a race, and there's a lot of high frequency trading around, and some people become really successful, then they lose the money next year because their technology gets outdated really quickly, so you have to be on top of it. I think it's doing a great job in general.
A few different things, it's sort of looking where new things are emerging that haven't been discovered yet. We're very deep in the computational substrate, cellular biology, biotech things, as it touches AI as well. And there's so much that's not known there. So you can see it's absolutely new discovery, complete greenfield. I would say the agro-tech kind of crop thing is a great place if you're looking for stuff. Another one is, being cash poor and then waiting until the market, cash rich, but being when the market is in a down cycle, catching undervalued assets, because, many of these markets do go through intense hype cycles. And that means there are, buying opportunities around things that have strong fundamentals. Another project that we're involved in is benchmarks around cooperation between AI, and that just turns out to be a great business in and of itself, creating benchmarks, providing infrastructure and certifications. So there's a few different things that are sort of proven business models that are sort of adjacent to maybe doing the next LLM. But I think that's where some of the real juicy business topics are.
I don't think I can really help you here. Eventually I believe that you need to meet the teams. You invest in the teams. I think AI is still prone to a lot of disruption, and it's really hard to really know where things will end up. So the best investment at this point of time is just putting your money on the right team that you believe will outmaneuver it.
Thank you. So I have a last question. I think would be a little bit unexpected, but important. We have everything recorded. We will publish it. And I want us to give advice, to give advice to those who want to run their companies, to those who want to start their business, and obviously see that AI is the future, or a part of the business should be one or another way using it. How would you advise them to touch the subject, where to implement it, not to become those who just talk about it, but actually really, what advice would you give to the new founders if they want to touch the subject? That's my question.
Maybe I'll just say that this is an amazing time to start a company. The amount of tools that allows you to move faster with lower capital hasn't been ever this good. And this is really, there are so many opportunities that you can disrupt now with AI, and I hear about new things every day. So I think this is really an amazing time to be an entrepreneur, and other than that, of course, you need to find the right space where you think you can add value. And I think this is, I always believe that you need to be able to explain why you yourself can do things better than others in the space that you're going to disrupt. So everyone with its own experience. But I think it's an amazing time to start a company. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can say scratch your own itch, something that you're passionate about, do good business analysis, up front, see where there's a new market, a new something that hasn't opened up, something where the competition is somewhat low, but your advantage is very high, so kind of market analysis. And there's definitely lots of things in the AI space that haven't been explored. There's a lot of local markets. I'm advising a couple different companies that are doing education, but the market for education is huge. There's lots of different countries that really need to have their educational systems, reformed. And there's just many things that are basically being facilitated with this current wave of technology. So I think that's my overarching thing. And just throw yourself into it. It takes a day to vibe code a prototype these days. It's accessible to most people. And, once you have your sort of feet wet and in the right direction in your first couple of customers, then you can kind of start iterating on that.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything said here. It's an amazing time of opportunity. This window might be very short, though, because you can do a lot of things. There's open source, very cheap alternatives that you can find for anything to be automated, like ChatGPT, Grok. Look at these guys. They can do anything you ask them. You just have to write the good prompt. So you have to do your exercise. And it's like, going to school. You don't want to, when you were a child, you didn't want to go to school, but it's good for you. So I would recommend everyone to have a discipline of at least 1 hour exercises with AI every day. And that will give you a lot of courage to do much more. I used to have an office of 54 people doing back office work. Now 7 people do more than those 54 used to. I had a lot of time spent on bureaucracy, legal things, administrative things. Now I spend no more than like half an hour. So from 2 hours to half an hour on mundane stuff. I think whatever you touch is really helpful. But bear in mind, as Joel mentioned very well, bear in mind that your expertise is really important. If you know the business process, understand it from A to Z, if you spend years in a specific niche that you know, use that kind of, try to find AI application for that niche. Even if you have competition there already, you can still do better. When you have very limited or generalistic knowledge about something, even if it seems, well known for you, still don't don't have the illusions that you can bring a business fit product. So better to start there.
Thank you. Mariam?
So we're talking of building AI companies, right? So I want to clarify one thing. When I'm saying AI, I'm not talking LLMs, okay? When I'm saying AI, I'm saying about any other algorithms, new or architectures that you plan to build, something really innovative in an AI space. So I want to reflect on Joel's words. Of course, whatever you're studying, you need to really understand the market well. And I think because it's highly competitive now, there is a lot of huge companies with amazing, brilliant minds who having crazy salaries to think for them. You need to find the problem that actually aches somewhere deep in your heart, because this will be the only motivation that will keep you alive. So you really need to hate the problem and you really want to solve it before starting any company. So this is thing number one. Thing number two, you don't need to know AI well to build an AI company, but you need to hire very good engineers. And it will be expensive, it will be very hard to find, but you really need to find an expertise inside you. And when I'm saying AI engineers, it should not be some guys who will just like take Bertha model or GPT model and like connect it to data, whatever you have. It should be someone who really understands the architecture and the vision and the idea and who can build you the whole system. How are you going to collect this data? How are you going to pre-process it? Who is going to work on all the mathematics behind it and build in your architectures, etc. So you really need to find a good team of an expert. And of course, you need to fail fast. Always fail fast. As many prototypes that you can. Go, trust, experiment, show it to your customers, see their feedback, and like bury your company if it doesn't work. Like really don't stick there too long, because right now you need to act so fast because of all these large corporations who are like really eradicating any new ideas and coming within their like big companies. I'm talking Meta, I'm talking Google, I'm talking Amazon. So you understand what are the guys behind that. So other than that, good luck.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's have a photo and then we continue with the AI deep dive.